Hey guys, welcome back to another Mosaic Society podcast. I'm Shreya.
I'm T. Marie.
And I'm Roseberry.
We also have a very special guest today, Binta Barisol, who also happens to be celebrating her birthday today. So happy birthday!
Thanks, y'all.
We're really
Thanks,
excited to
guys.
have you here with us. You want to introduce yourself?
Hey, y'all. I'm Binta. Nice to meet y'all.
Wait.
Okay.
Davita, give a message to Uncle Ibu because you know he be listening.
Gosh, Uncle Ibu, my biggest supporter. I would not be here without you. I'm on the podcast because of you. You really paved the way for me. And I don't know what I would do without you. My big dog, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
A very special message. So today we're going to be diving into an album that was pretty much one of the most unforgettable greetings in music history. It was 25. And we're going to look at it through four different lenses: autonomy, melancholy and resignation, authenticity, and catharsis. Anyone who's missed Adele's global My bad. Anyone who's missed Adele's global takeover in 2015, through 2025, her third studio album was a mix of bittersweet nostalgia, powerful ballads, and emotional storytelling. It was described by her as her makeup album, a tune that was a shift from her previous breakup album 21, and it sold over 3 million copies in the first week in the United States and became the fastest selling album of the 21st century and the biggest selling album of 2015 in America. Went on to
Wow.
win a number of Grammy Awards as well, including Album of the Year, Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best Pop Vocal Album of the Year. And it pretty much cemented Adele as one of the biggest and most defining voices of her time. So, with that very long introduction, um, looking at your individual perspectives of choice, what do you think which song represents your perspective best?
So I'm looking at the album through the lens of autonomy, and I think there's several songs that you kind of see this theme happen throughout. But first, overall in this album, we see Adele really like reclaiming her agency by making peace with like her past self. And as Shreya mentioned, 21 kind of was like the breakup, and she's like putting herself back together in 25. And I think it also touches on like the most important bond that she has, which is the bond that she has with her son, which I think is really beautiful. But it's just really, I love how she does like her albums with like the ages and everything, because I think especially as a 24-year-old now, it hits more than when I was 14 singing along. And I think it kind of captures like this uneasy almost like process into adulthood, where she's kind of like changing and learning to accept certain things and new realities and truths, but also like gaining confidence within herself. So, with this theme of autonomy, there were two songs that I felt like, even though a lot of songs kind of had a touch of it here and there, I feel like Love in the Dark was the first one that I was like, oh yeah, like she's standing on business here. I think it has like a tone of finality with it. It's like she's standing up, she's ready to move forward. She's still acknowledging that there's still like love between her and like the person that she was with, her ex-husband. She was married, right? Yeah, her ex-husband, but also seeing that like the relationship had kind of like run its course. So she asserts herself, she makes her stance. She says things like, take your eyes off of me so I can leave, don't try to change my mind. Like she's setting her boundaries very clear within this song. And I think that it just really emphasizes her autonomy to choose self-preservation and to choose her emotional growth for herself. And the lyric that I think is my favorite is the I'm being cruel to be kind, because it's like, even though it hurts and it's like you can tell there's still emotions, but ultimately what's best for not only herself but for the other party is to move on. And in the end, that's how they're being kind to themselves, because they are stepping away from a situation that really doesn't serve either anymore. And then the second song is Riverly, which I had never heard before. I listened to the whole album for this podcast, But I really think it's like one of a kind on the album. I really, really like it. I think she uses like River Lee as a metaphor for her upbringing and how that influenced her and just the way that she thinks and operates. And I think it walks a fine line between autonomy and entrapment almost, because it's like she says, oh, I can't go back. I can't go back to the river, because she generally does want to like break free from like old habits. But then she also is, I guess, weighed down by those habits that are kind of embedded in her as well. So like she says, like, it's in my roots, in my veins, it's in my blood, and I stain every heart that I use to heal the pain. So I just think it's a great representation of the struggle to gain autonomy for yourself despite the external factors that are happening in your life. So yeah, those are the main two I would say.
Narita, you don't have to really raise your hand. Whenever someone's done talking, you can just talk.
You can just talk.
I wasn't raising my hand.
You're just like this?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Do you want to go next?
Sure. I had 3 different songs. This is a great album. I want to preface with the fact that I was 8 when this album came out. So like I had no business listening to it. But I was looking at it through the lens of authenticity. And the very first thing that came to my mind was Hello. It's like, for me, the most unfiltered song that she has. And it kind of sets the mood of the whole album. It's her going from, okay, this is my past, I'm accepting that past, to her shifting to her present. And we're listening to her have a conversation within herself, and it's kind of like her validating her future self and the future feelings that she's going to have. I kind of looked at it as imposter syndrome, kind of, which I kind of understood in the sense of like, she doesn't understand how she got here, but she's having to come to some sort of agreement and just like, it's okay. She has closure in her past self that she did what she needed to do to get here. I had another song, When We Were Young. It's just so nostalgic. So it's just that like authentic feeling of just like, I looked at it as like her diary entries. Like we're just like getting a deep dive further into Hello. And it's kind of that one sentence that's like, or that one line that's like, let me photograph you in this light in case this is the last time. It's like, she's accepting that like, yes, I was young at one point, but I'm growing and I'm moving on. And it's just a raw feeling. My last one is All I Ask. Honestly, minus a million years ago, this was the most minimalist, simplistic. It was its own solo song. It honestly just deserved its own EP. It's like her longing and caring for what she wants with no distractions. And I kind of looked at it as like, it's in my own perfect world. This is all that I ask. This is all that I want. This is before all the fame came, before the divorce happened, and all this other stuff happened. Like, all I ask is for that to happen. So those are my lenses.
I forgot about her famous quote, divorce, babes, divorce. Oh my God, she was married to that man. I forgot.
She's so funny.
Wait, why would she say that? What happened?
She was on live and someone asked her what the album was going to be about, and she said, divorce, babes, divorce.
Actually had the same songs as T. I'm looking at it through the lens of melancholy. I picked the word, but I can't necessarily.
Yeah.
Melancholy?
No.
Melancholy.
Yeah, melancholy, but she's saying melancholy.
No.
Melancholy.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to talk now. I'm looking at it through the lens of melancholy, which is more like a gentle sadness.
You're not saying it right.
Right. I can't say it right.
You're saying call me. It's called melancholy.
Like lolly? Collie?
Are we done?
Say your point. Say your point.
Like, please. I literally said I don't know how to say it. I picked a word I don't know how to say.
You're saying it right.
And now for the podcast, I picked a word I don't know how to say. Melancholy, whatever. I'm going from that lens, which is necessarily like, you guys, you got in my head. Everyone stop talking.
Right. Okay, no.
Just please. So I'm looking at it through the lens of melancholy and resign. So this feeling of like gentle sadness without a clear cause, almost like a quiet reflection full of sadness, and then also the acceptance of something that's unpleasant or kind of disappointing, right? You just accept, oh, that sucks, but it's happening. And so I picked Love in the Dark and Riverlia because I felt like Love in the Dark was a very emotional narrative that she gave. Everything before Love in the Dark, I'm kind of answering a question later on, but everything before Love in the Dark, I do feel like is the process of her working through her feelings and her thoughts and her experiences. But Love in the Dark is her having this like genuine sadness. And I don't know if it would be like a bittersweet nostalgia. I don't know if that's a good way to describe it, but it's this feeling of this is what's wrong and I can't do it anymore. Right? Like and even the fact that she's saying I can't love you in the dark. Like she wants to, but she can't do it this way. It feels very heartbreaking, but at the same time the song is empowering because you said it, T, like she's setting her boundaries, like she's moving forward. And I think with River Leah, looking at the lyrics, her saying I blame it on the River Leah, it's basically a metaphor or an analogy and that any of us can change, right? I blame it on the River Leah. She's talking about something that happened when she was younger in her past that is cemented in who she is now. And so she has a line, um I'm scared to death if I let you in that you'll see I'm just a fade. Consider this my apology. I know it's years in advance, but I'd rather say it now in case I never get the chance. It's almost as if she understood, Vincent, you kind of said it, like this imposter syndrome of she didn't feel sure of herself, she didn't feel connected to herself, and her apologizing in advance, as she said, because there's something, a part of her from when she was younger, that is making her feel disconnected and that's affecting her relationship. So I feel like those two from two different perspectives represent the lens I'm looking at.
That's really interesting. Okay, so I have two songs as well because I couldn't choose, and I'm looking at it through the lens of catharsis, which basically means like it's a release which leads to clarity, emotional clarity, or any sort of clarity. And for some reason, what was that, million years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one. Rose, thank you so much for berating us for not having heard that song because
I can't believe you guys had never heard that.
I can
Never.
I cannot believe that I haven't heard that before. I hadn't heard that before. I was listening to that on loop and I was like tears rolling down my eyes. I was like, wow, embarrassing. But yeah, it's beautiful. And I saw it only had 50 million views. I was really surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Point is, I really like that song because, and I think it represents catharsis best because it talks about regret. It talks about the feeling of being lost, the feeling of being stuck. Like the bit where she says that I feel like I'm still in the life and my life's moving on, and I just want to live a little longer. Something like along those lines. It just hits deeper because the previous songs were more about love, separation, loss, and this was more about it. It left it more ambiguous to the listener. It could be about a partner, it could be about a parent, it could be about life in general, it could be about anything. It was just, I thought it was beautiful. Yeah, so it represents catharsis perfectly because it's like a deluge of feelings, frustration, regret, and in a weird way, a sort of resignation of the fact that this is it. So I think this sets the tone for what comes next because then the tone starts changing to acceptance. It's not just regret, but rather acceptance and fighting your way through to that point of emotional clarity, which is why I think this song a million years ago is perfect for catharsis, but also my personal favorite. Like, love it.
Told
Favorite.
y'all.
Agreed. 1000% agreed. All right. So, this brings us to our next question. When do you think the tone shifts in the album, if it does at all? So, each of you have mentioned your favorite songs and how it represents autonomy and authenticity and melancholy. So, when do you think it shifts, if at all?
I kind of already said it, so I'll just reiterate it. For me, it's Love in
Mm-hmm.
the Dark. I truly do believe that Love in the Dark is the point where she goes from this surface level, kind of just explaining to us what's going on and what's going on in her head, into
Mm-hmm.
this reflective aspect of these are the actions I'm taking moving forward. You know, everything before um Love in the Dark, I think it's hello, when we were young, I miss you, remedy, water under the bridge. Like these are all necessarily just almost surface level for Adele. But when you turn into even Riverlia, well, actually, it's Riverlia and Love in the Dark. Those 2 points is just a transition. But after Love in the Dark, you have Million Years Ago, and I do agree. It is this point of like, it is very cathartic. And she's sitting here and she's reflecting on who she used to be in the past, who she is now, and the disconnect that's there, and how she's accepting that. And then All I Ask, again, she's accepting it. Like, this is all I want moving forward. I'm leaving what's in the past, but let me have a memory I can take with me. Um, and then Sweetest Devotion, I think, is a fairly underrated song, I would say. In Sweetest Devotion, she starts going into like, she's almost like, I don't want to say thanking her ex-husband, but she's like, this sweet devotion exploded, right? You're kind of starting to see a new perspective of life. I had these new experiences and like, so I feel like once you get to Love in the Dark, that's when it switches from her just talking about the heartbreak, um, and that being kind of the central theme, and then going into, oh, this is more concrete what I can do moving forward. This is more concrete how these different things have affected me. I go into town and like people look at me differently now. She's starting to switch into a more action-based, tangible explanation of what's going on.
I
So
agree. You got it. You got it. You got it.
right before this, I said, Rose, I think we're gonna have the same response. Like I think like we have the same answer to this question, and we just don't. Um,
I told you.
we
I told
literally don't.
you. I told you.
Yeah, you're wrong. So for me, the way I view 25 was that the first half of that album was her looking out. It's looking at the past. It's the people she's lost touch with. It's her ex-husband. And the second half, she's turning inward, and it's more towards her accepting her growth and just like where her growth has led her. With that being said, I feel like the turn is a million years ago. That song is honestly, in my opinion, the only stripped back song she had. Like All I Ask is close, but a million years ago is her most stripped back song on that album. And she says, deep down, I must have known that this would be inevitable. And it's kind of
Mm.
like she knows she was accepting it. She knew that this is what her life would become because she did in the first half all that looking outward on this is what my past was. This is kind of how I connected with people I've lost touch with, and it's kind of shifts into All I Ask, where she's just saying, if this is what I'm accepting, all I ask is that this, and this takes place, if that makes any sense. Like, I understand where your perspective was coming from in the shift. I only picked Million Years Ago because it shows that she knew what was going to happen. She accepted that it was going to happen. It's all that she asks now that this has taken place.
I think it's because I agree with you, but I think it's because we're going from two different lenses. Like if you're going from authenticity, I can understand why Million Years Ago is the one where you're like, oh, this is the shift. But with me doing Resign and Melancholy, I think it's more so Love in the Dark because that's when she's truly reflecting on like it's this sadness. Y'all heard that song. Like she is screaming, like I can't do this anymore. It's this sad acceptance, but she doesn't necessarily she kind of goes into what she can't do anymore, but she's basically just like, I can't do it in the dark. Like it's done, it's over. Like I can't go into the little bits and bits and pieces. So I feel like from our lenses, it makes sense. Like I don't think you're wrong. Um, I don't think there is a way to be wrong when you're interpreting art, unless you're like, oh yeah, she's talking about her big toe. Like she's obviously not. But like I think we're both from the lenses we're coming from. I think we're both fairly right because authenticity, it makes sense to pick million.
Yeah, it's a big two to you. It could be a thumb to her.
An elbow
Like
to someone
literally.
Yeah,
else.
yeah. Also, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but um, she got married in 2018. So this is probably about an ex-boyfriend.
Oh.
Yeah, wait.
I just googled it because I was like, we're all saying she was married at that point, and I was just like, okay. I felt that she was too, but then I want to just check.
Did she have her son then, though?
She
She
already
did
had her
have a
son
son.
because Remedy is about her son,
Yeah.
but this album's about her ex-husband
It says
or
it's a makeup.
ex-boyfriend.
It's a makeup album. It's a reflection
It
of her
does
life
say.
and a self-discovery. It explores nostalgia, motherhood, and time.
It's honestly like she had this, I think it's Variety interview on YouTube I watched like last week, but she's talking about how some of the songs are um inspired by her ex also. Because like 2021 was a breakup, like Someone Like You, Rolling in the Deep, like she was angry. Turning Tables, I believe. But this one's also a matter of breakup, but more so her reflections after the breakup. So in a way, she's talking about her ex, but it's more so of an internal reflection of that.
I think
Yeah.
divorce isn't the right word.
No, it's
I
not.
think
She
breakup's
was
the word.
married after the album was released. What I understand is she started dating this man, Simon Konecki, in 2011. They had a son in 2012. Then she took a sabbatical, and then she came back to 25 in 2015, and they got married in I don't know, 17, and they divorced in 2021. So yeah. And then I think I read somewhere that the first song "Hello" was inspired by an old boyfriend. She doesn't mention who. So I just want to make sure if the rest of the album was about her old boyfriend, the same old boyfriend, or her ex-husband. Anyway, we know now. See, I interrupted you earlier. Do you
Oh,
Real
remember?
quick though,
yes. No, I
just real
remember. Go
Yeah.
quick
ahead.
though, it's okay to say ex-husband too, because it seems like it's just a breakup as a whole. Like the album is just about heartbreak and then finding yourself and getting older.
It was like 6 years after, so her thought process perhaps wasn't about her ex-husband, now ex-husband.
No, but I'm just saying, like, if we say, okay,
If you say,
no, it's okay. We're saying the same thing. Go ahead, T.
So for this one, I agree with all like the like different interpretations that we've heard thus far. But one thing that I thought that was like a little different from what has been said so far is I feel like Hello and Send My Love are like kind of cut from the same vein in the sense that they kind of feel like it comes from a place where she's kind of healed to me, where it's like she's looking back versus some of the other songs after kind of like she's going through it, she's in the depths of it and she's working through it. Because I feel like in Hello she takes a lot of personal responsibility, she's like is very self-aware and she's kind of like in the pursuit of closure, but like she recognizes like I'm sorry for breaking your heart. That might not be the lyric, but she says something like that. And so it's like that's like the messaging that like that like she's putting forth. And then in Send My Love, it's like empowerment. Love the song, by the way, and closure. But she's also addressing an ex that like failed to live up to the promise, and she's
Hmm.
also warning him like learn from this, like don't make the same mistake with the next one. So I wish you well, but like please like take something from this experience. So I feel like she comes off kind of like, as I said, healed and kind of like looking back at it, while the other ones feel like she's kind of more going into it. And
Hmm.
then similar to what like Rose said, I think as well, because my lens is autonomy, I feel like the shift is in Love in the Dark for me, because I feel like that's where it's like you see the most like she's actively like taking a stand and working to where she was in Hello and Send My Love. um but yeah, I think throughout
Hmm.
you kind of see like a mixture of like her going through it and then also like embracing like the motherhood aspects like in Remedy and Sweetest Devotion. So yeah, that's what I would say. I feel like two shifts for me.
okay, okay. Well, I have to agree with you guys. The tone does shift. Which song was it? Shit, I forgot the name. What was the name? Which song did you mention? I forgot the name. Uh,
Me or T?
Love in the Dark. Sorry. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So it does shift with Love in the Dark. But from my lens, um, I think it's a million years ago. That's where it shifts. I think that's what hits me a lot more because when you're talking about a release of frustration, the first couple of songs are more about, in a way, it has a reminiscent tone to it, which involves a lot of self-reflection, where you're saying that yes, you were horrible, but perhaps I did something as well. There's this understanding that it was that it wasn't just about the other person, that it was a relationship that involved both parties or all the parties in some sort of action. And with A Million Years Ago, it shifts the tone in sense that is a release, and there's a lot of self-loathing that comes out in that song, and I think
Hmm.
that's a tonal shift, in my opinion, because after that it becomes a lot. It starts progressing towards emotional clarity. Earlier, it was just about release, and everything comes out when you're trying to release the good, the bad. Sometimes where you're bashing yourself up too much, and then finally you move towards a point where you're more kind to yourself. but also you start looking at something positive like Sweet Devotion, which is where it ends.
Mm.
So I think for me it was a million years ago. But I do agree that the tone does shift at Love in the
I'm
Dark.
gonna agree with you because a million years ago just feels like it's all acceptance. Like, especially in her first lines when she's like, I miss the air, I miss my friends, I miss my mother. It's like, I've accepted that this is the life that I've had and I miss my old life, but I am now a mother and I've made it in this world. And it was like, I think she said something like, life was a party to be thrown, but that was a million years ago. It was like, I think that was just her sense of nostalgia, and she just understood like that was my old life, and while I can have a life where it just feels like a party every day, Jesse, um, that's not where I'm at right now, and it's more so just like growing, learning through my experiences and moving past it.
Yeah, like there's a tone of resignation in there as well. Now that I think of it, like you're resigned to what it is and you're moving forward. Anyway, that's cool. Anyway, so now that we've discussed about how we feel the album and the songs in the album fit in through our perspectives, I want to zoom out a little bit and see how exactly did 25 add to society at the time or to the music that was popular at the time. What do you
I
think?
actually looked at some of the different songs that were, because I can't remember right off, that was 10 years ago, but I kind of looked at like some of the other songs that were like big in that year just to like see what else was out there, and it was like Bad Blood, The Whippin' Nay Nay, Hotline Bling, Thinking Out Loud, Trap Queen, What Do You Mean? And so
Trap Queen was trending in 2015.
yes,
Mm.
I miss Fetty Wap, but anyway, I just feel like when you compare Adele's album to those other, it's very different. You know, it's kind of like
Hmm.
in a league of its own. And maybe that wasn't a big year where there was like retrospective music where it's really like an emotional journey and an internalized story that we kind of really get to see play out. So I think that really made it a standalone. And I think that's really cool because I think it it's obviously offers a lot of messaging that I think is important for a lot of different people.
Hmm.
And honestly, it was like a cultural phenomenon. Like everybody was singing hello. Like even though like I was 14, I hadn't gone through a heartbreak. I hadn't gone through certain things, but I was singing it like I had, you know what I mean? So I just feel like it gave so much in terms of like agency, positivity, and pushing through personal struggle. And then on like the economic like industry impact, Shreya touched on like all the achievements it had, and especially coming after 21, she was able to do her big one again with 25. She I don't remember she like shattered like album sales records, and she had like a huge record in terms of how many copies sold in its first week in the US. So I just think it just speaks for itself how much of an impact it had on society at the time. And even now, because we're still bumping to the songs 10 years later.
So there's a podcast that's going to be coming out in a few weeks where we talk about the sociology and politics behind awards. So tune into that. I think it's October 5th. But in that, we already filmed it, by the way, if you can't tell. I I was talking about and explaining how in 2020 Billie Eilish swept the Grammys, right? Billie Eilish won all these Grammys for her album, and it basically solidified the fact that what it means to be a pop star is changing. You know, it went from this Kesha, Katy Perry, T-Pain type music, kind of like club music, into being a pop star. It's like more introspective. And when I was thinking about this, I was like, I feel like Adele kind of not kind of, she paved the way for that because Adele is very introspective. All of her music, all of her lyrics, they're very deeply personal and emotional, but it's done on a scale or it's done in a way where anyone can relate. And so I feel like the she impacted the music industry by helping with that shift. She went from like she was you said like what was it? Fetty Wap and Bad Blood, like all these different songs and artists who were popular at the time, and then she's standing out. She's like the outlier, but everyone can relate to it, especially this aspect of like accepting what's gone and trying to move forward and move through that emotion. Putting that into mainstream pop at the time, I think was a very iconic move. And because of her, I feel like we now have this surge of pop artists who are very introspective. We have the Billie Eilish. We have the what's her name? Olivia Rodrigo. Olivia
Mm,
Rodrigo, right? Like her singles tend to blow up because they're very introspective and like you can relate to them. So I feel like that's what Adele added to it. Other than that, on like a social level, I'm not really sure. That album came out right before the 2016 election. And if I'm being honest with you, anything before the 2016 election, I don't fully remember. Can't lie to you. Anything before then, it just feels like minuscule because ever since 2016, we've been living in this whole new world, this whole new reality.
mm,
Um, but yeah, I feel like in the music industry, that's the change she made. But socially speaking, I'm not sure. I think it was just a space. She created space for people to talk about their feelings and heal from heartbreak and heal from this idea of not being who you thought you would be.
I agree.
I'm still a youngin', so like I can only speak so much. Back in 2015, I was bumping it musically. Fetty Wap was my jam. Like that was just that was just my thing. Like I can't even lie to you. But that's what I knew pop to be. Like whipping Nene, like I'm going to the club, Kesha's playing, like that's what my pop world was. And you couldn't have told me nothing different. And then Beyonce came out of nowhere and I was like, "Ooh, that's a little different." And then Adele came through and it was just like, I guess the word I'm looking for is validation. Like it was more just like she validated vulnerability and she was like, hey,
Yeah.
pop can be something different. Pop doesn't always have to be watch me whip. Like it does not have to be that. It can be Nene. It can be it can be a song that's stripped back but has so much meaning and has so much emotion behind it. And so I think, and especially now, like everyone here knows I'm a diehard Beyonce fan, but I could still say that Adele, like Rose said, paved the way of vulnerability in the pop world because now you're listening to Beyonce songs like "I Was Here" and "Protector," and it kind of gives you a sense of Adele and Adele singing "Hello" and "Love in the Dark" and all these other songs, and I think
Hmm.
Adele provided a sense of security in those who I guess were afraid to move on. I think she allowed them to move on through her songs and kind of prove to them like, yo, it sucks. It's not the best. And I know once again, imposter syndrome, like you're never gonna truly feel like you belong, but until you're able to do these things, or at least until you're able to kind of like move on, you're not gonna succeed. So I think she kind of provided that new perspective in the pop world, other than just that hip hop that normally was playing back in the day. But yeah.
I
Mm.
I will add because I said this I think in like 2018, 19. I was somewhere in college and I was like, music is a way to teach people how to share their emotions. If you can find an artist whose lyrics speak to you and the experiences you have a better way of understanding what it means to express your emotions through words, to communicate how you're feeling. And I feel like for me, that was Shawn Mendes. I feel like Shawn Mendes, his first two albums, lyrically speaking, he first three albums, honestly, I'll give it to him. He had a really good way of communicating what it felt like to be overwhelmed and anxious and questioning yourself. But that was for me. But Adele on a global scale was able to do that. She was able to teach people this is what it means like to be raw and vulnerable with yourself. And to do it in a way where she wasn't hiding the emotions. Not that other pop artists were hiding it, but if you think of like I don't know why. All I can think of is Lady Gaga right now. But the song Poker Face. If you listen to the lyrics of Poker Face, they kind of like hit different, right? You're like, oh wow, this is what she's talking about. But she does it in a way, like the music, it's upbeat and you're dancing and like you kind of get distracted by the music production and it distracts you away from the lyrics, right? She's still being
Hmm.
vulnerable, but it's not necessarily stripped down, right? Harry
Hmm.
Styles has a song, um, I think it's like All I Want, but there's a lyric in there that's concerning where he's like, I wake up alone and I play by myself and like he's basically talking about being so lonely and like in his own world and isolated. But the music is so upbeat, you're like, yeah, all I want. And so I think Adele does a really good job of like she's being vulnerable, but to the extreme of like breaking it down so you have to listen to what she's saying. You
Mm.
can't get distracted by the music production behind it.
I
I
also think
agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
we live in such an unserious generation that
Hmm.
you can take Adele's songs and it doesn't have to be as depressed as you want to make it. Like me personally, I could be having the best day of my life and I will still be listening to Love in the Dark with the windows down and I don't care. Like you
There's
can
no
take
stigma.
what'd you say? You cut out.
there's no stigma. Like you can just
Yes.
listen to it. Yeah.
You can just listen to it no matter what, and you feel the feelings that you feel. Like, I know a million years ago, it's a happy song and a sad song. Like, there's so many different perspectives that go with each song that, like, it doesn't really matter, kind of deal.
Yeah.
And I love music like that where you can enjoy it at multiple levels,
Hmm.
where sometimes you can just vibe out, and other times it's like when I need a message, I can just listen in and get that message. And I think Rose mentioned Shawn Mendes. I think for me it was Little Mix. I feel like it was Little
Hmm.
Mix's music where it's like they gave me an outlet to feel things, especially because I was in freshman year when I found them for the first time. So it was like the perfect time to be
Yeah.
introduced to them.
Black Magic.
Exactly that song. It was literally Black Magic.
Yeah. I agree with you guys. In my opinion, it just showed that vulnerability is not weakness. In a funny way, it also made it seem like going through a heartbreak, failure, personal loss, or a sense of melancholy or anything. The thing that we usually associate with as with a negative emotion does not have to lead to. It can be channeled positively in the sense that it can lead to something better rather than you going down that rabbit hole of being miserable. So I think that was new. I mean, there've been quite a few albums, makeup albums or breakup albums or whatever it is that is called. The artist is just sad, but this hit different because if you listen to it in its entirety, it shows growth, and I like that.
Hmm.
I agree.
Yeah, this reminds me of a Hindi song. Okay, the one that you said about Poker Face. There's this not Hindi, sorry, Punjabi song. It's called Oh Ho Ho Ho. Basically, it's a breakup song, but it's so upbeat. It's so upbeat that people sing it at weddings. They play it at weddings and they dance to as they get to the venue.
Hmm.
And when like you do realize it's a breakup song, the man is crying in the song.
They do that.
Yeah,
I That's crazy.
the man is crying and in pain. Everybody's dancing to it as the bridegroom's party reaches the wedding venue, and they're basically in the barat dancing and they're going and yeah. So the tone and the music takes over. No, no, go ahead. There's a what?
There's a French song similarly. It's called Papa Unte. I'm a break bust that song down every
It
time.
eats.
But
Oh my gosh.
it's about his dead
Ute, Papa
father.
Ute. So good. Oh my
It's
God.
about his dead father.
And it eats every time.
Like we're literally at a kickback or club dancing to this song and he's talking about his father.
It eats every
When
time.
I learned that like a couple years after I started listening to the song, I was like, ooh, like we really aren't listening to what this man is saying. But he also wrote it in a way where it's like you want to dance.
It's the
Like,
same
Yes.
thing, and maybe not the same thing, but like Demi Lovato's 29. I don't know
yes.
what came over me, but that song right there. Then Rose kind of explained it to me. I said, "Oh wow, maybe not,
Yeah.
but it'll eat every time."
She was going around the house screaming that song, singing, and y'all know Demi's my girl, so I just know the breakdown. I was like, maybe too, you want to know what this song is about? Let me tell you.
Up and down the
Why? Why
14
would you
steps,
do
and
that?
I'm belting, and I said, "Wow, maybe not."
Bro, that's so funny. Papa Ute, oh my God. French class? We were singing that top of our lungs. And then Edith Piaf as well. She has like the L'Oretrian.
Yeah.
We would sing that opera style, and it's a sad song, but love it. Oh my goodness.
I mean,
That was my French welcome song.
Same French class. She broke that up. Also, real quick with Poker Face, I wasn't wrong. It is a vulnerable song, but in the sense of like it should be concerning because she's basically talking about like I'm gonna play you, like I'm playing with your emotions, I'm playing with your heart. Which I feel like if you break that down and you're listening to it, there's a different perspective that comes than when you're just listening to pop 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 poker face, you know? Yeah, the face. Yeah. So it's kind of like, oh girl, let's talk about this. Why are you not emotionally available? But she has all this music production, and you're like, oh, ignore it. Just vibe.
Yeah, yeah. Vulnerable dysfunctionality.
Basically.
Yeah. Actually, there was this one question that I thought we'd do later, but then I just think because we've all brought it up multiple times, is there anything in the lyric or any lyrics that stand out to you because it felt one way at the first, when it first released and it's differently now? Though I'm older than you guys, I was also pretty much inexperienced when it came out, when the album released. So I think we all come from a point, and you were 8 years old, Pinta. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I looked at
yeah,
it as the album as a whole because once again, I was 8. But like
yeah.
growing up with older siblings, you don't really have a choice. So like to me it was just like, oh, all these emotions and love hurts and I miss my friends. Like those were the three things that I just kind of like thought about. I was like, okay. And I carried that with me. Okay. When I tell you I carried those core beliefs that love hurts and I miss my friends, like that was it. But then as I've gotten older, because I'm not 18, as I've gotten older, it's more so like the album is peace. The album is
Mm,
holding. The album, and this could be wrong, so maybe don't clip this, but like it's like a meditation kind of. It's like
Yeah,
internally finding peace within yourself that life is fast. It ain't waiting for nobody. And you're closing these you're closing these chapters, you're opening new ones. You have to accept growth and that everyone's feeling that ache of like outgrowing people and like what do I do now? I'm at this point of just being stagnant. And I kind of look at it, her album 25 specifically is the map of her life. Like we're literally looking at a map of her
mhm,
life and she gave us an outline. And like once again, I'm only 18, but like I can piece some of my life together in these songs and I'm like
mhm,
completing her map. That's kind of like how I
Hmm.
viewed it. From being 8 to 18, like it kind of, that's how I grew it.
mhm,
wow, yeah. The bit about about it being meditative, that's the first one that came to my mind when I heard the album in its entirety. I was like, wow,
mhm.
it's almost meditative in its effect. Agree with you. You got all of that at 8? I just thought she had a good voice at 18 when I heard it for the first time. I was like, nice voice. And I heard it again and
Older
again.
sisters, and then they just talked about it time and time again. So this album, I'm pretty sure it was on my Spotify Wrapped for like 3 years straight. So I really,
Okay.
me and 25 are one with each other.
It's also like from her, I'm assuming from her perspective, she has like different types of sisters too. Like we are all at different points of emotional expression. And so she probably has like one sister, more likely me, like the emotional one, like, oh, look at this and let's think about this and feelings, da da da. And then you have like Batu, who's more so like not all emotions are valid. But Adele did a really good job with this. Like I feel like me and all my sisters combined, even though we're at different points of understanding emotions, we as a whole we're like, no, this album. Like she ate this album up. This is what emotion is. This is what music is. And then she's 8, so we're just like maybe to say yes, yes, and that's it.
Yeah, I was lip
Okay.
syncing it on Musically and everything. But
Okay. Okay. What about you guys?
I think when I was 14 and listening to this, I don't tend to listen to like full albums. So I had only that's why I didn't know like Riverly and like a Million Years until listening now. But the songs that I did hear, like When We Were Young, Hello, um, Love in the Dark, I think I had kind of like minimized it to like, oh, they're like breakup songs like that. I feel like that was my interpretation when I was 14 because I wasn't really doing a deep dive and I didn't have the emotional experiences to like link it and really like see it. And all I had was like these little crushes that didn't really amount to nothing, you know? So that's what I was going off of. But now being older, I can see it as like that shift to adulthood and like I feel like it just hits more on emotional level. I felt like even though I had just heard it for the first time like a few years ago, I or a few days ago, A Million Years in my opinion, I know she's talking about like how she had changes to her life after fame and how like things don't look the same even on the streets that she like used to like grow up on and everything. I related it to kind of like how like the world kind of looks different once you're like an adult and how things
Hmm.
don't look the same, and it's like a bit of sadness and bittersweetness, especially like when you're in the in between phases of like where I am in life, like about to start a job but like you know still kind of in the middle of from being a student and everything. And like it's kind of bittersweet that oh I can't go back to like that freedom that I had as a kid, like that carefreeness. Like it's a little bit sad. But yeah, I feel like this is just it's a great speaking piece to how you feel, like the myriad of like emotions that you feel when you're like turning into adulthood. So way more than just breakup songs that you sing about your little crush who don't even know who you are. So
Yeah, yeah. Agree. 1,000%.
When 25 came out, I was 15. Okay. And again, it was a lot of heartbreak, which I didn't really relate to. But the song I related to the most was Remedy. Because at 15, for me, like, I didn't really have the freedom to explore who I was yet. Not necessarily like I was sheltered, but I just felt more mature than my peers. I felt like a lot of my interests were more mature. And so it was very isolating. And I always did have this longing that she talks about in Remedy of like having someone or something to fall back on, right? And this one place where I guess she's kind of talking about like unconditional love or unconditional support. And I didn't feel like I had that. My parents and my family, like they supported me, but I had this longing of wanting to find a place where I could just explore myself without having to dim my light in a way. Because I just felt more mature than my, not that I was the most mature kid, but I just had more mature interest and it just didn't align. And it felt like I never really fully belonged somewhere, which is
Rose,
reflective of,
me and you had the same feeling, but with different songs. Like Remedy was your song, but mine was a million years ago. Because like I get I'm 18, but like it's a running joke in the family that I have so many ops. It's just like I was the one that just like
not a running joke.
I outgrew people very fast because I had 20 some odd year old siblings where it was like you're being a child, like grow up. And it was like, wait, like come back to your actual age. And so it was kind of hard for me to connect with my peers. So I felt like, because we grew up in a little town, we had the same friends growing up. It was almost like they were looking at me like I was a stranger. Adele says a million years ago, where I grew up and found my feet, they can't look me in the eye. It's like they're scared of me. And it was like, that's kind of the feeling that I felt going through junior and senior year of high school, where it was like, this is a completely different town. This is a completely different area than what I'm used to growing up. These are different people than I'm used to growing up. And it wasn't an isolating feeling because I thugged it out, but it was more so just like not understanding like how from sophomore to junior year this became a thing.
Mhm.
Continue.
Yes, I agree to an extent. I do think we both had, which I think is why we get along fairly well, is we both had very similar experiences growing up in that sense. I feel like for you, it's because you have a lot of ops and you do. It's not a joke. Like that's why I said it's not a joke. This girl got ops for days, okay? Can't go nowhere without an op showing up. But for
What's
me,
an
it's
off? Sorry, what
like
does
an
that mean?
enemy.
Oh,
Enemy's hard.
opposition,
Like you're,
opposition.
yeah.
It's just
oh,
somebody that don't like me. They're taking it to the extreme.
no,
Anyway,
you know,
um, but yeah, with Remedy, it was more so of this longing of I didn't really have ops, but I don't know, it just feels different. We talked about generations and generational divide, and like we're both Gen Z, but I feel like the way you guys grew up and the way I grew up, or us, I guess, is just different, especially with the way that cultural awareness, sensitivity, understanding that words matter, people matter. I feel like we were at the age when we were in high school where people were starting to understand that. And by the time you got to high school, people already understood that. Not that they always act on it, but that's why I feel like I connect to Remedy because it's like this cultural sensitivity people didn't have, I looked for. And this openness to exploring who you are. Anyway, right now, 10 years later, fast forward, 25 in like 3 weeks, I feel like the song that hits the most to me now is River Leah. I barely noticed it at the time. Can't even lie to you. A million years ago, Semi Love, like all these other songs were just screaming my name. But now that I'm listening to River Leah now and I looked at the lyrics a little deeper, I do feel connected to it because I feel like she does a good job talking about how a lot of times there's stuff from your history, from your past that comes in and blocks you from being who you want to be. Um, and in her song, she says something along the lines of like, when she's like, it's in my blood, it's in my veins, like it's just who I am. I think it's a really good metaphor for how your childhood shapes you and how it can either limit you or push you to be who you want to be. And I think right now I feel really disconnected from myself and from society as a whole because I'm in this transitional point that you were talking about, T. Like it just doesn't feel like I fully know who I am yet. And I think a lot of that is me having to go back in my past and be like, okay, at what point do I feel like I started to be disconnected from myself? At what point did I start to be disconnected from society to the point where it just feels like it's a part of me? Like it's in my blood, it's in my veins, I'm meant to be disconnected. And so I feel like I relate to that one the most now. But when I was younger, it was definitely Remedy.
Something to say, and I forgot. It
Happened.
just went very well. Oh, it came back to me. Right. What you said was actually hits a little differently for me because I am someone who gets caught up in the emotions that I feel at that moment. I find them too sometimes find them too overwhelming to be able to process immediately. So it lingers. So when I was listening to this album, that happened to me because I was thinking of it from the point of emotional release and the subsequent clarity that people seek through catharsis. And I got stuck on one song a million years ago. And I was just like, wow. And I just couldn't get past that emotionally.
Hmm.
So I had to listen to it a couple of times before I was able to disconnect emotionally from a million years ago and then move ahead and listen to what was happening after to be able to resonate with what was being said. And that did happen. But if I had to, yeah. So if I had to think about how it hits me now compared to when I was 18, I'll have to say that I think that I connect the most with a million years ago right now because of the stage of life that I'm in. But the reality is, the stage that I want to get to is Revelia, which is funny because Revelia comes before a million years ago in the playlist, I think. I'm not
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
it does.
Because Revelia, if you think about it, comes from it comes with acceptance that I understand that I am behaving this a certain way. I understand that this is why I'm doing it. It comes with a lot of introspection. It comes with a lot of reflection, understanding why you're behaving the way you're behaving. It takes people years to do that, if at all somebody's able to achieve that. And I thought that maybe Rivalier would have been something that would have come later if I were choosing the playlist. Maybe I'm just thinking aloud. Anyway, um, but yeah,
I
when I
don't
was
think you're
18,
sorry. I was gonna say I don't think you're misunderstanding though. Like what you're saying makes sense. Of like you're feeling million years, but you want to get to River Leah. I think River Leah is an ever-changing song because again, she's talking about something in the past that's in her blood and her veins. That's something you always have to unpack. So I think you're right. It could be.
yeah. So that was something that I thought, and whatever you were saying about the song, I agree with. Now, if I had to compare this when I was 18, I didn't listen to the entire album when I was 18. If I would have listened to it when I was 18, I perhaps wouldn't have understood the emotional depth to it because I did not have the patience to listen to the lyrics. It was always the voice and the emotions it made me feel. So there was a sense of, oh, I understand you're emoting this way. I get it from your voice. I get it from the way you're singing, but it was never deep enough to say, oh, what do the lyrics say or do any background research of any kind. I was just like, oh, this lady has a killer voice. I'm going to listen to her. And at that point, I had not gone through anything significant when it comes to heartbreak or anything. So in my head, a breakup song was a breakup song. And I was like, okay, someone's really sad because they broke up with someone they love. That's sad. Because, you know,
Sorrow, sorrows, prayers.
that is literally what I thought. I was like, I get you, like I get what you're feeling, but I don't get what you're feeling. Like I understand you're going through pain, but I just
Can't relate.
even now at like okay, I don't want to say my age, but even now, 10 years later, I don't think do the math. I'm not doing it for you. Even now, 10 years later, I'm not the type to listen to music to be when I'm sad or heartbreak or whatever. You know that kind. It's not something that I do. I eat a tub of ice cream and I move on. And I watch funny stuff. I don't listen to sad music about breakup. It feels just I think it's too much and it's just I find it trivializing at the same time. It's a problem. Anyway. Anybody else have anything else to say about this? About how actually there was this one sub point that we if we haven't already addressed. How do you think the core themes of Adele's album resonate with you at this point?
Once again, I'm 18. So the core themes for me is growth, acceptance, and gratitude. It's just being thankful for your past lessons. And I think these aren't things that you just learn once and you're like, all right, I'm never gonna make that mistake again. Like it's not just like, oh, I fall on my face and I get back up. This
Mm-hmm.
you gonna keep tripping. Like it's just a fact. And I think it resonates with me because it shows like you're growing up. Like you, I always tell people like grow up, like as a joke, but truly like you have to grow up and like grow up in life, and you have to be accepting of the fact that you're just gonna outgrow things. You're gonna outgrow people. Your likes, dislikes are gonna change. Your morals, your not your morals, but your views are gonna change. And instead of being bitter towards that feeling, or instead of sitting here longing for that feeling, like I know people are always like, "Oh, I miss high school. I miss high school." Instead of longing for that feeling and being bitter about it, just be grateful that you were able to experience it, that you got the life lessons, that you got all these things for it, and express gratitude towards that stage in your life, but also move on. Like, even a million years ago, it does have sort of a bitter tone in the beginning, um, but then you can see her expressing gratitude of just like, yes, it was a million years ago. It's time to move on. It's time to keep growing. And even Love in the Dark, like, yeah, she tired. Like, she done Love in the Dark. However, comma, like, she's still expressing gratitude to the love that she did receive at that point in time. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Hey, being 18 is not, I mean, it doesn't invalidate or make your expression, what resonates with you, any less relevant or valid. I think the points that you mentioned are universally true. So, what was that? You called yourself a young one? What was it?
A youngin?
Youngin? A
Yeah.
youngin. You might be a youngin, but you're a smart one and a wise one. Yeah.
Um, for me, I think that the core theme within the song Love in the Dark, I probably connect with the most. Um, I think that Love in the Dark beautifully captures this quiet acknowledgement that something isn't working, but it's not necessarily from a place of anger or blame. It's simple acknowledgement. Like, I can't do this anymore. This isn't working. It's not effective. It's not productive. I think I can relate to the heartbreak just a little bit. I mean, I haven't been like as heartbroken as she has, obviously, but I think at one point I was listening to it from a heartbreak perspective, but as I keep listening to it, it's kind of it just really reflects that you have to accept that the person you are without being upset at yourself for not making something work that wasn't meant to work for you. I feel like a lot of times as society we try to mold ourselves into a way um that works with this ideal vision of ourselves and this ideal world that we live in, but it just doesn't work that way. Even if you're talking from a perspective of romance, if you're talking from a place of career, family, whatever it is, sometimes you just have to accept like I can't do this. I can't love in the dark. We're so distant from each other, whether that's a romantic aspect, you and your career, your future self, whatever it is. And so I feel like Love in the Dark, I probably relate to that theme the most. Because, like I said before, I think it's the turning point of like, I'm accepting this, I'm moving on. There's this silent sadness within it, but like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is my boundary, as T said. Um, but she's like holding space for it too. She's holding space, talking about the past as well. Again, no blame, no shame, no anger, just I can't do it anymore. So what does it look like now moving forward? And then she goes into All I Ask and she goes into Million Years Ago and all these other reflections. I would say that. Love in the Dark.
The core theme that I think right now where I am resonates the most with me is nostalgia. I think speaking again to like being in like the transitional phase, I feel like since I'm on like the cusp of like starting the next chapter of my life, but also like being still like an adolescent at the same time, I find myself thinking back and like, oh, I not so much like regretting things, but just like being mindful and internalizing all the experiences that I had. So I feel like a lot of the lyrics that Adele had, and I have two songs with lyrics like in when I was young, like let me photograph you in this light in case it's the last time that we might be exactly like we were. So I'll like just scroll through like different pictures and just remember like how I felt at different times. Um and just think about like how far I've come, maybe like different avenues and routes I could have taken back then. But then also in Remedy, she says, I remember all the things I thought I wanted, so desperate to find a way out of my world and finally breathe. And so that not only makes me reflect on like some of the past values that I had, but also looking forward and thinking about, okay, so this is me breaking forward so then I can quote unquote breathe. I'm not saying that I had
Hmm.
to like break free from something for real, but like, just breaking into my new reality. So yeah, I feel like the nostalgic aspect was what really got me.
There's also, because you brought it up a couple times, there's a line in Love in the Dark where she's like, um, damn, she goes, stop asking me to stay. I'm trying to be brave. I think someone brought that up earlier too. But every time you talk about nostalgia, it's also this aspect of like, you said you're on the cusp of a new chapter. There's stuff from the old chapter that also is holding you back. It might not be
Mm,
people, but it could also be a place. Like you're trying to be brave and move forward, but there's so much you have to work through before you get to that place. And then you're also in this state of nostalgia where you're like, damn, like everything's changing. It's not where it needs to be. So it takes an extra level of bravery to like move forward into that new chapter.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Rose, you mentioned Remedy. I kind of can perceive it in a different way too. And Remedy, that one run that she has where she's like, your
Oh,
remedy, that part, it one sends chills through your whole body, but I think
mm-hmm.
it literally, the run itself represents growth. Like it's,
Yeah.
when she first starts that run, it's like, okay, she might be crying, who knows what she's doing. But at the end, it's so peaceful. And it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
she finally took a deep breath after that, like one run that she had. But yeah, that's
Mm,
awesome.
It can be a whole, like, I do wish we had a section of like breaking down the actual musicality behind her because she's so talented. The musicality in association with the lyrics is why we feel the way that we do. So maybe in another podcast or another time we can break down musicality within the album, but I think that's a key point in how we're all sitting here like, oh, a million years ago has been on repeat. Like I can't stop listening to it, you know? Or like, oh, Love in the Dark, I feel so connected. Her musicality is top tier.
Mm, absolutely. For me, I think it connects with almost everything that you guys have said, and I say it's growing pains
mm,
because everything that we're mentioning, all the emotions, the feeling like trying to, moving on to a new stage, but you're also stuck in the previous stage, but you don't feel like you want to move out of it, but you don't want to at the same time. Letting go, preparing yourself for something that's already knocking at your doorstep, and
Hmm.
accepting that growth, growing pains. Yeah, I think that's what stands out to me. Growing pains and acceptance. Okay. I mean, we've been talking a lot about, we've touched a bit about why we think 25 stood out, what it did to the music, the pop music that was popular at the time. So I think it follows, or it makes sense for us to ask what exactly makes Adele stand out from other songwriters, particularly her contemporaries, then and now.
When I hear that question, yeah, so bad. I think about that one time, and I know Rose knows exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know if you guys do, but Adele got control of her Instagram for one day. She posted this crazy picture, and it was like, the caption was like, the one day I get to control my Instagram. And it was the funniest thing I've ever heard. But to me, it showed the power that she had, whether that's in herself and in the music and just in the industry, as it's like, this industry, I'm not in it, but just from the outside looking in, it's a dog eat dog world. But for her to have
Hmm.
that much power and that much restraint in her music and what her music means, I think speaks measures. She doesn't, I can confidently say Adele is one of 5 artists that I do listen to now that doesn't really follow trends and doesn't follow
Hmm.
sounds. She is her own trend. Like she could fail on 4 albums, but she's still gonna make the same type of music because that's, she stands firm in what her music means. And I
Hmm.
think how her music is conveyed is so specific. I'm gonna bring back Beyonce because that's my girl. It's the same with Beyonce. How her music and how even like her concerts, like Act One and Two, how they're conveyed, she stands very firm in that belief, and that's kind of how Adele is. And I think she is one of the only artists, I'm gonna get canceled for this. She's one of the only artists that is able to strip back her music and it brings more power to the song. A lot of the times artists strip back music and it
Agreed.
kind of takes away from the original sound. She strips back and All I Ask, and it's the best song I've ever heard. And it once again shows the power, it shows the meaning, and it shows that she's able to, in the pop world, she's able to strip back her music and it's gonna sound like Million Years Ago and All I Ask. But she's also able to make a hit like Hello, which everybody sang
Hmm.
at one point in time, and it doesn't change who she is as an artist. It doesn't change who she is as a person.
I love
Facts.
that.
So I'm probably gonna stick closer to my notes because I had so much to say. I wouldn't say Adele is better than other songwriters because I don't know all songwriters, so I wouldn't be accurate in that. But I do think she has a rare skill in writing songs through multiple perspectives or lenses. In terms of storytelling, it's like she can write from first person, third person, a metaphor. She can write as if she's a kid, she can write as if she's an adult, all within the same album. Okay, she doesn't have like this 10-year hiatus where it's like a different perspective coming in. In one album, she can show all those different forms of storytelling and through her songs, and then she can show those different perspectives as well. So one song might feel like a personal letter, like a letter she's writing to someone, and then you have another song where it's she paints it like a cinematic scene. There's another song where it's an entire metaphor. I feel like she's able to communicate to us in different, which is why she's a pop artist, because she's popular. Everyone can relate to her. She's able to communicate to us in a way where everyone can kind of understand the different layers to what she's saying. It's stripped down, it's to the bones. It's just her, it's sometimes it's just her, a guitar, a piano, and that's it. A little bit of strings here and there, but she's able to show her storytelling skills through the different perspectives that she gives us. This entire album, it's basic at its core, it's the same thing. Heartbreak, a little bit of heartbreak. I don't know who I am. I'm transitioning. That's what the album is. But she does it in so many different ways that each of us can be like, oh, this is the turning point, and we have four different answers. Oh, this is what I relate to. We have four different answers. Because based off of our perspectives and the way that we receive stories, we can understand through her album, oh, okay, River Lee is a metaphor. I receive stories best through a metaphor. This is the one that stands out to me. So she has 11 songs where it's 11 different perspectives and 11 different forms of storytelling, which I think makes her stand out, along with her voice, of course. I think if we go into the musicality of it, the pianos, the strings, the minimal production, she's able to strip it away, but she's doing it through different perspectives so different people can receive it. It's like when we're talking about like learning disabilities, not everyone learns in the same way. Not everyone feels in the same way. And Adele is able to touch to different people's feelings through the different forms of storytelling that she has. I think I don't care if Swifties come after me. I think Taylor Swift is a good storyteller in the sense of she can be like, this is the story. She can read a script. She can write a song that's like a script. She's really, really good at that. But I think Adele can do that, and then she can do what Olivia Rodrigo can do, and then she can do what Demi Lovato can do, and then she can do what Beyonce can do. I think she has a skill of songwriting and storytelling that not all other songwriters have, and which is why even with Billie Eilish, no disrespect, she's so talented, but she has the same vibe for her entire album. All her albums have the same vibe, have the same perspective, have the same way of communicating emotion. But Adele can do it in multiple ways, and that's underrated, which is why I think she stands out more so than other people.
To tie into what you're saying, this is kind of crazy. I'm about to compare her to J. Cole. You can listen to Adele and J. Cole when you're 8 and when you're 14 and when you're 16 and when you're 18. You can listen to the exact same songs and still interpret them in different ways.
Yeah,
And I think that's the power that her and J. Cole hold, is that she is able to have all these different, like Hometown Glory. When I first listened to it at its core, I was like, oh, okay, period. Good job. Like the musicality of it was wonderful. But I didn't really care about the lyrics. Like I was just singing to sing it. Same thing with Million Years Ago and Love in the Dark and all these other songs. It's like I know, even now just being 18, I'm going to listen to it again when I'm 21 and I'm going to interpret this completely different. And then when I'm 25, I'm going to interpret it completely different. So I think that's also what makes her stand out. She has a kind of special touch that anytime you listen to that song, you're interpreting it in a completely different way.
She goes with you.
Yeah,
Yes.
literally. Also, real quick, because Ryan Tedder or Turner, the one from One Republic, Tedder, Ryan from One Republic, he's like such a popular song artist or songwriter. Ryan Tedder, I think his name is. But he also helped her produce this song, and he's a great songwriter too. So I think he could have also helped in this aspect of like showing different perspectives. He has so many bops, so talented.
I like both of those, and I agree with what both of y'all said. I just have like something short that I'll add that I really appreciate about Adele as a songwriter. I think her concept is just something that no one else has, and I think that makes
Mhm.
her stand out and it's very unique. Writing from different eras of your life is something that, first of all, it's like it grows with you, yes, within the song, but even like across like her biography, you grow up with her discography, you know what I mean? Because it hits
Mhm.
different phases of life. And even if you're not there yet, like I was 14 when 25 came out, I'm there now and I'm 24. It took 10 years, but it's like we're here now.
Mhm.
And also, this isn't the point about songwriting per se, but I just think her voice is just something that's
Mhm.
so unique. Like she doesn't, no one else has a voice like Adele. She's just a
Mhm.
standout. And Beyonce, she's a standout as well. Like different people have like different voices. Some I feel like have a pop sound. Adele has Adele's voice, you know?
Mhm.
And when she sings, I internalize it more than I do like other artists' music. Like there's just something about the tone, there's something about her delivery. I will watch like live performances, especially when she had her residency in Vegas. I would like watch those performances and it's like it feels so different even from the studio released version, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I think she's a standout across the board. Songwriting, yes, delivery, performance, everything.
She has a very textured voice. It's very textured and raspy and like longing voice that you can connect with.
Mhm.
Beautiful voice.
Mhm.
I actually haven't ever. I mean, I can't really compare her because I haven't listened to a lot of pop artists consciously. I mean, without realizing it, yes, I have heard a lot of music, but consciously haven't done that as much. What I can say is that she makes music that can resonate with anyone,
Mhm.
and she leaves it ambiguous enough that you can associate with any sort of. If you can associate the song with the emotion you're feeling at that point, regardless of its source. She could be crying out a heartbreak. You could be crying because you failed a test, but you're able to resonate with what she's saying. And she does it in such an uncomplicated way. There are no
Mhm.
complex metaphors involved, or the lyrics aren't complex. They're simple, but they're still packed with emotion and they hit differently. And she's not bound by like you. I don't know who mentioned it, I can't remember who mentioned it, but she's not bound by the norms of how it should be, how pop should be. She was never
Mhm.
someone to stay within that normative category. She was her own. She paved her own path. This is what she is, her own style. So yeah, oh wait, that's it. Who's gonna take over segment? Go ahead.
I wanted to say something really, really quick to the point where you said, I had to search up a lyric because I wanted to compare. You said like she says it in a way that everyone can understand and like get the message.
Mhm.
And there's this song by BTS. I love it, and I love them. Amazing screen songwriting. They're great lyricists, but it reminds me of a lyric from Fake Love where they say, "I grew a flower that can't be bloomed in a dream that can't come true."
I
Bars,
remember that.
bars. But it's like, what does that mean? Like you have to take time to digest it. And it's great once you like take the time to do that, but it's like I love that Adele says it in a way where it's like you can just get it like that. And maybe you will reflect later and like deepen that emotion as well, but it's like you can also get it at face value as well. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I wanted to say. Okay, now moving into our segment for today, we have a little bit of a challenge, a little bit of a fun game. So we're going to describe 25 in 25 words. So we're going to see how the four of us have come up with our different interpretations for what this album represents. Who would like to go first?
Not
I
me.
can,
Okay.
I can go first.
Okay.
This is gonna sound like I was writing an essay because I was really thinking hard. My 25 words is Adele's 25 feels like I actually didn't count spell count these. Hold on. Sorry. We gonna count as we go. Adele's 25 feels like looking back at old memories, figuring yourself out, and growing from it all. Super real, emotional, and just hits every time.
How many is it?
How many?
That's 22.
No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. No, it's 25. Dell's 25 feels like looking back at old memories, figuring yourself out, and growing from it all. Super real, emotional, and just hits every time. I swear
Hmm.
it's 25. I'm not slow.
Girl, how do you count on your hands? You counted.
Lie, I was doing this and I had to say, nah, let me just count. I couldn't do it. I was struggling.
Can we all just say our sentences? We'll go Vinta, T, me, Shreya, and then we'll just say the sentence and then we'll talk about it so we can hear the differences.
Okay.
Okay. Adele's 25 feels like looking back at old memories, figuring yourself out, and growing from it all. Super real, emotional, and just hits every time.
Learning to take ownership of her personal journey while also embracing past truths so she can build a better future for herself and her son.
Hmm. A reflective journey through heartbreak and memory, balancing sorrow with acceptance, mourning what's lost, honoring the past, and finding quiet strength in embracing life's.
25 makes you feel every emotion without leaving you heavy. You acknowledge and process the feelings, and then come out lighter with clarity and space to move on.
That was really good. I can't recall any of y'all's now, but that was it was really good in the moment when you guys first read it. That was nice.
Yeah. I can't remember any of it either. But it was all good.
So with mine, I really highlighted like my lens with like the aspect of learning to take ownership of her personal journey. I feel like I overall looked at it through the lens of autonomy, and then also I felt like it was important to mention her journey as a mother as well, and how she talks about Angelo in Remedy and Sweet Devotion. So that's why I felt like it was important to make the point about not only making a better future for herself, but also her son.
I thought about Remedy the entire time I was thinking about this, by the way, because I just feel like Remedy is just a healing song. And so it
Hmm.
was her looking back at before motherhood, before quote unquote life meant something, and then figuring it all out and falling on your face, but also growing from it. And I think the real raw emotion that she has in that song and in that one rung, and I know I keep bringing it up, but like it's just so good in that one rung, it just shows and it hits every time that like this is my life. I have my old memories. I've figured it out. I've grown from it.
I had 3 words that I identified were important. So I was like journey, balance, and strength. Those are 3 words that I felt like reflected the album. And then like for journey, I was like, it is a journey of like heartbreak, not just romantic, but like heartbreak with yourself, like who I used to be. Which is why I started it that way. And then her balancing this like sadness and this sorrow with except I actually thought of sorrows, prayers, which is why I put sorrows. But she's balancing this like the sorrow and sadness she feels of the past with acceptance of what's coming now. And then strength. And strength was hard for me because I was like, what about it? Why do I think this is so strong? And I think she finds strength in a very subtle way of understanding that life is always changing. Life isn't what it always, life is impermanent. Like it's not always what it's going to be. So I found those 3 words and I was like, this is.
Okay. So whenever I hear a breakup song, it leaves me feeling heavy. Personally, I feel that the emotional weight that the singer songwriter feels is passed on to me, and it stays with me for a while longer. But when I heard this album, it made me feel lighter. It made me cry, yes, but when I finished in its entirety, I didn't come out feeling depressed. I
Hmm.
wasn't sad. I felt lighter. Yes, I felt those emotions and I felt them in a very strong way. But in the end, it made me feel lighter. That's the only word that comes to my mind. It almost positive, which is why I said that it makes you feel every single emotion out there, even makes you cry without leaving you heavy. And it's also,
Hmm.
if you compare her to artists like Amy Winehouse, who was amazing, but when you heard her music, it felt heavy. And it was also not the most not productive. What's the right word? Conducive way of dealing with difficult emotions. It was a bit destructive
Hmm.
in the sense that you're not processing them completely. You're deflecting or you're going further and further deeper into that negativity. Adele doesn't do that. She probably goes down there, touches it with the tip. She jumps into a pool, goes all the way down, touches it with the tip of her toe, and then she comes back up. It's like that. That's how I end up feeling when I'm listening to her music. You feel the depth of it, but you emerge.
That's a cool metaphor. I like that.
Was it? I hate metaphors. Why do I use them?
Metaphors are a powerful form of storytelling and explanation. That's how you teach people. But okay, that's the end of that. Everyone have a good time.
Yeah, that was
Yes.
fun. Our guest, how did you feel?
That was fun.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
so done with
okay.
you. So until next time,
Stay curious.
Stay true.
And stay unapologetically you.
bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, bye.